One of the most highly recommended or requested videos over the past few weeks has been the bit that Jefferies does on gun control. It's in two parts, so obviously, yeah, two separate videos, and it was advised that I watch them both back to back so that I don't forget from one day to whenever I, like the next, or whenever I decide to watch part two, that I don't forget what he talked about in the first one. So I understand a bit where Jim Jefferies' leanings are as far as some things go. So I'm heading into this with a bit of trepidation. And the reason for that is because I am a supporter of the Second Amendment, our Constitution. And yeah, I do support gun rights. So it's going to be interesting to see what this is about. I don't know, like specifically what he's going to mention, but I already kind of have an idea as to where he's coming from as far as, ideology and stuff like that. So let's see.
Now, before I start saying this, I want to say this, right? I believe in your right as Americans to have guns. I'm not trying to stop you from having guns. All I'm saying is this is my personal belief on the opinion. My opinion on the... it doesn't matter. I don't like guns, right? I'm going to say some things that are just facts, right? In Australia, we had guns, right? Right up until 1996. And in 1996, Australia had the biggest massacre on earth. Still hasn't been beaten. And...
Dang.
Now, after that, they banned the guns. Now, in the 10 years before Port Arthur, there was 10 massacres. Since the gun ban in 1996, there hasn't been a single massacre since. I don't know how or why this happened. Maybe it was a coincidence, right? Now, please understand that I understand that Australia and America are two vastly different cultures with different people, right? I get it. In Australia, we had the biggest massacre on earth. The Australian government went, that's it, no more guns. And we all went, yeah, right then, that seems fair enough, really. Now, in America, you have the Sandy Hook massacre where little tiny children died, and your government went, maybe we'll get rid of the big guns? And 50% of you went, fuck you, don't take my guns!
With good reason. They had good reason for that.
So
it's a complicated issue.
Here's where it gets confusing, right?
Well, not
now,
really.
as I said, I'm all for your Second Amendment rights. I think you should be able to have guns. It's in your Constitution. What I am not for is bullshit arguments and lies. There is one argument and one argument alone for having a gun, and this is the argument. Fuck off. I like guns. It's not the best argument, but it's all you've got. And there's nothing wrong with it. There's nothing wrong with saying, I like something, don't take it away from me. But don't give me this other bullshit. The main one is, I need it for protection. I need to protect me. I need to protect my family. Really? Is that why they're called assault rifles? Is it? Never heard of these fucking protection rifles you speak of? Protection? What the fuck are you talking about? You have a gun in your house, you're 80% more likely to use that gun on yourself than to shoot someone else. And people think, well, that'll never happen to me. You don't know that, because you know what? From time to time, we all get sad.
Okay. Thanks.
One day you're happy, then you're sad, and then... Protection? I had a break-in in Manchester, England, where I was tied up. I had my head cut. They threatened to rape my girlfriend. They came through the window with a machete and a hammer. And Americans always go, well, imagine if you had a gun. And I'm like, all right. I was naked at the time. I wasn't wearing my holster. I wasn't staring at the window waiting for cunts with machetes to come through. Like, what world do you live in where you're constantly fucking ready? You have guns because you like guns. That's why you go to gun conventions. That's why you read gun magazines. None of you give a shit about home security. None of you go to home security conventions. None of you read Padlock Monthly. None of you Have a Facebook picture of you behind a secure door going, fucking yeah. Like, you're going to be ready if someone comes into your house. You have it at all fucking time. By the way, most people who are breaking into your house just want your fucking TV. You think that people are coming to murder your family? How many fucking enemies do you have? Geez, you think a lot of yourself if you think everyone's coming to murder you. So if you have it readily available, it becomes unsafe. You have it in your bedside table, one of your kids picks it up, thinks it's a toy, shoots another one of your kids. Happens every fucking day. People go, that would never happen in my house because I'm a responsible gun owner. I keep my guns locked in a safe.
Where it's hard to get to.
Then they're no fucking protection! Someone comes into the house, you're like, wait there, fuckface.
Yeah, wait while I go get my gun.
Come to the wrong house
wait
here,
while I load
boy.
it up.
I'll tell you what, I'm gonna fuck you up. Okay. Is it 32 to the left or 32 to the right? Your mother's birthday? Why the fuck would I know your fucking mother's birthday? Maybe if you didn't leave the window open because it's too hot in here, we wouldn't be getting fucking murdered, right? I find the NRA to be hard work. But the fact that they always think the answer is more guns. After Sandy Hook happened, the NRA said, and I quote, "None of this would have happened if the teachers had guns." I think they're forgetting what school was like. Does anyone remember that casual teacher that used to, whenever she came onto school, that relief teacher came, you and your friends would see her and go, oh, we're going to make her cry. And then she'd stand in front of the class with a bit of chalk and her hands would be shaking. And you go, you're never getting married, are you, miss? Never going to happen for you. Then she'd get back to a 1967 Volkswagen Beetle. She'd be crying over the steering wheel. Just, why don't they like me? Let's give that cunt a gun and see how things work out. And then they go, oh, well, answer to that, we'll just add more guns. They go, we'll put an armed security guard at every school across America. Yeah, that'll work out. The average security guard in America earns $16 an hour. Not a lot of wiggle room to be a fucking hero. Someone comes onto the school and you've got Kevin.
Mall cop. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm
maybe
sure
think of mall
Kevin's shit
cop
hot
when
at Call
he
of
said
Duty, but it might not fucking cut it, ladies and gentlemen. Now, I understand that when I'm doing this joke in this room, 50% of you agree with me, 50% of you don't agree with me. And I do respect the people who don't agree with me. Don't think I don't. The 50% that don't agree with me, 20% of those people are smart enough to realize this is a comedy show and it's not to be taken seriously, and they're laughing along because it's just funny jokes, right? And then the next 20% are sort of phased out a little bit and looking around going, wonder how they got that chandelier up there. And then there's the last 10%, and they're fucking furious.
Yeah, some of them probably are.
Right now, in this room, and the people watching at home, 10% of you are fucking seething. Just... And for a couple of reasons. First reason, I'm making good points.
But each point can be refuted. Oh, well, that part's over already. Okay, hold on. Okay, that I wasn't expecting it to stop like that. I mean, I knew it was going to, but I had lost track of time. I have a feeling I'm going to forget everything that's occurring to me after this is over. But I'm going to go ahead and just jump into this next part 2 segment. This is going to be kind of a longish video because just these 2 segments alone are about 14, 15 minutes. Maybe, yeah, maybe more. Second reason, and this is the big one. What did they say?
I'm foreign.
What?
And that's pissing the fuck out of you right now. And your brain is on a loop and you can't fucking turn it off. And it's just going around in a circle and you're just going, if you don't like it, go home. If you don't like it, go home.
Oh.
And my answer to that is no.
Yeah, I don't want to go home.
Came here legally, I pay my taxes, I'll say whatever the fuck I want. Your First Amendment means that I can say the Second Amendment sucks dicks. And unless you're an American Indian, you're a fucking immigrant as well, so fuck off. People get so precious about it. Like, I understand that to Americans your Constitution is very important. I respect it, but please understand that every country has one as well. It's no more special than any other Constitution. We have one in Australia. I don't know what it says.
Maybe you should.
I've never seen it. If there's a problem, we'll check it, but everything's going fine. And don't get me wrong, I get that the Constitution's important to you. I get it, right? I've had people come up to me in my face and scream at me in car parks as I'm leaving the theatre, going, "You cannot change the Second Amendment." And I'm like, yes, you can. It's called an amendment. Like, if you can't change something, it's called an amendment. See, many of you need a thesaurus more than you need a constitution. And if you don't know what a thesaurus is, get a dictionary, work your way forward. Don't think your constitution is set in stone. You've changed things before. You used to have prohibition in there, right? And then people were like, hey, who likes getting fucked up? Yeah, I like getting fucked up too. Let's get that one out. Let's get that one out. You used to have this other thing in America called slavery. And then Lincoln came along and went, that's it, no more slaves. And 50% of you went, fuck you, don't take my slaves. And then the same bullshit arguments came out that you have with guns. Why should I have my slaves taken off me? I'm a responsible slave owner. I am trained in how to use my slaves safely. Just because that guy mistreated his slaves doesn't mean that my rights should be taken away from me. I use my slaves to protect my family. I keep my slaves locked in a safe. That's the thing. Why should I have my guns taken off me? I've done nothing wrong. Look, I agree with you. If you're a responsible gun owner and you don't fuck around with them, then you should be allowed your guns. You really should. But that's not how society works. We have to play to the 1% that are such fuckwits they ruin it for the rest of us. We have to walk as slow as our slowest person to keep society fucking moving, right? I take drugs like a fucking champion, right? We should all be allowed to take fucking drugs, but we can't, can we? Because Sarah took drugs and she stabbed the fucking kids. Thanks, Sarah, you fucked it up for everyone, right? Everyone should be allowed to drive their car as fast as they can do it, right? But we can't because Jonathan got drunk and ran over a family. Thanks, Jonathan! Now I have to drive at 30, you fucking idiot!
His face.
See, that's the thing. So if my gun's taken off me, I'm responsible just because that guy's crazy. Who's to say you're not crazy? That's the thing about crazy people. They don't know they're crazy. That's what makes them crazy. The only thing you know for sure on this earth is I think, therefore I am. You know that you exist. Anything past that is open to interpretation, right? You know you exist and that's it. Right now, I think I'm in Boston talking to 1,200 people. That's what I think I'm doing. But there is a good to fair chance that I'm in a mental home standing in front of a white wall going...
Someone said this was in Tennessee or something. They were not correct. Someone in the comment section somewhere of one of these videos.
See, one of the better arguments is, well, if you take the guns away, then only the criminals will have guns. Not true. When they banned the guns in Australia, it worked. When they banned them in Britain, it worked. Okay. That Bushmaster gun that the kid was going to use in Sandy Hook cost like $1,000 American. You can buy it in Walmart. It'll be delivered to your house. That's it, man. $1,000, right? That same gun in Australia on the black market costs $34,000. Now, if you have $34,000, You don't need to be a criminal. You've got $34,000. You're a great little saver. Keep going. So that covers the criminals, but that doesn't cover the people who want to murder your family, that are coming after you and your family. It kind of does. Like, the people who do the massacres, it covers them because, okay, the kid at Colorado who thought he was the Joker, let's say that he had some social issues.
Just a bit.
The kid at Sandy Hook was Asperger's as fuck. Right? I don't know if you know a lot about the black market, but you can't just rock up at the docks going, guns! Who wants to sell me a gun? Now, I'm going to wrap this up. We won't talk about it anymore. Now, see, the one thing that I do really agree with the right to bear arms, I really agree with that the real reason it was written was so that you could form a militia to fight against a tyrannical government. In case the government became a bunch of cunts, you could all get your guns and fight back. And that's why it was written. Yeah! And that made a hell of a lot of sense when it was just muskets. But you do know the government has drones, right? You get that? You're bringing guns to a drone fight. Like, if we went back to muskets, I'm all for it. Keep the Second Amendment. If we all have muskets, muskets are awesome. Every cunt should be carrying a musket with them at all times. You know what's good about the musket? It gives you a lot of time to calm down. Someone calls you a wife,
time you
you're
gotta take
like,
the look.
fuck you, buddy.
Get it ready. Yeah. By the time you're done, you're not mad anymore.
Nah, you're not a bad guy. You're all right.
Oh, is it about done already? Oh, yeah, it is. Okay, I didn't want it to go to the next thing or play an ad or something after this. Okay, well, this one, it wasn't uproariously hilarious to me because, yes, I disagree with much that he's saying. And everything that he said, if I had the time, I could sit down and write a rebuttal to pretty much everything that he mentioned. But one of the things that occurred to me when he was talking about the Sandy Hook killer and the that idiot that went into the movie theater and did what they did, and I was just thinking of the different occurrences of mass shootings that have happened in this country, specifically in this country, and one of the most prevalent, what's the word I'm trying to think of? One of the most prevalent factors in the lives of these people that did these things was that they were from a broken home, or the father was not present at all, or they were on some type of, drugs for mental issues or something like that. But the thing about the fathers is one of the big factors in these people's lives. And so something that I have thought for a long time, it's not just my opinion, this is just the way it is, that one of the things that has led to such a breakdown in society in this country has been the disintegration of the family, that fathers are kind of treated as expendable, and the rate of single mothers in this country has just, and this is just it's across the board, really. It's just skyrocketed compared to what it used to be many, many decades ago. And I think that is the single biggest problem in our society, is the breakdown of the family. And maybe other countries, it's different over there. But I think that when you do something like not that you do it, you're specifically doing it, but when you have a situation where many kids are growing up without a stable family unit, without a father, and a lot of times this is not necessarily the father's choice. This ties into other stuff that I've talked about in some of my other videos. You lead to a lot of problems that just trickle down through the years, and just what our society has turned into. A lot of the stuff I've already talked about. This all ties in, you guys. It's not as simple as saying guns are the problem, because and I'm pretty serious minded about this. I knew going into it kind of what he was going to be, the things he was going to be bringing up. But it really isn't as simple as that. And as far as the US, we have, I don't know, X amount of guns per capita. And yet, with as many guns as there are in our country, you would think that the rate of deaths would be just billions of times higher. Yes, I'm exaggerating, but you know what I mean. So the problem isn't, it's not the guns, it's our culture, not a culture of guns, because a long time ago, when you could go into a store and more easily get a gun than you can now, this whole thing about mass shootings and stuff, it wasn't so prevalent like it seems to be now. And I don't know, I could go back and refresh my memory as far as stats, but gun violence has actually gone down over the past few years. The whole thing about assault rifles, that whole label, that's quite misleading, because that term was basically just kind of invented by politicians to scare people. You got the whole thing with the AR-15s and how they look so scary, but they're basically really just a rifle. They just look cool, and they're lightweight. They're supposed to be easier to operate, especially for like maybe women have an easier time operating them, stuff like that. He also mentioned something about, what was it he said? Oh, he said people were mad at him because he was making good points. So I wasn't really mad at him. I was like thinking, oh man, I really don't think that he probably wouldn't be able to very easily debate someone who was well versed in this subject. I don't think he would. That the points he's making, and some of the points he made were, obviously valid. Yeah, you keep a gun locked up, it's not going to be easy to get to for protection, is it? And the whole thing about, well, because the 1% of people have done something bad, then everybody has to suffer. That's true. It shouldn't be that way, though. I mean, I don't agree that everybody should suffer because some people are idiots. I think you deal with the idiots and then you let people keep their constitutional rights. That's my opinion. We're getting into that sort of subject matter again. And he was mentioning a bunch of other stuff, like American Indians, they were here first. That whole thing is they came here, and then also they would fight amongst themselves and take over each other's territory, and they would take slaves. And so, it's like there are all these things he's bringing up. It's not quite so black and white as far as, clear-cut sort of issues. Let's see, what else I wrote down. He was talking about only criminals would have guns, and that wouldn't really be so much of an issue because guns on the black market are so expensive. But, with as many guns that are in this country, it's a little different than Australia. I think he was talking about the price of a particular gun, and I don't remember which one he said it was, but the price of a particular gun in Australia that on the black market. Well, I kind of think probably Australia didn't have as many guns within the country as, let's say, we do here. So if guns became illegal or people couldn't have guns anymore or whatever, there's still going to be a ton that's available on the black market. The price would go up. Yeah, some probably just because they're illegal, but it would still be fairly easy for certain people to get their hands on them if they wanted to. Certain criminals, like, people in drug gangs and, organized crime type folks and stuff like that, because they don't care. They're going to just do whatever they want. And, if you are under threat of, if your life is under threat, and it doesn't matter what the other person has, if you're being threatened, then you're going to want anything that you can have at your disposal to protect yourself. And the thing that he leaves out of this, which, wouldn't fit in with his narrative, and maybe he just doesn't know it either, is how many times lives have been saved through the use of guns, either just pulling out the gun and scares the bad guy off, or actually being, having to use it, and then that neutralizes the threat. So this is just a lot of the stuff I'm saying just off the top of my head here. I wish I could kind of if I was the type of person that was just really going to prepare for this, I would have gone through this, and I would have had notes ready for each thing he was going to say so that I could refute it. But anyway, these are just, very quick things that come to me. And I know people have a lot of strong feelings about this. And it's unfortunate that people can't really talk to each other in a civilized way about this sort of thing. Not everybody, but a lot of people. Like, that's kind of what it's come to now, is that a lot of people can't do that. And it's unfortunate, but I don't know. I don't know. It's a lot of stuff can be complicated, because when you're talking about people and getting people to agree on everything, that's just pretty much never going to happen, is it? It just won't. And I feel like that watching this video, my reaction to it has been rather subdued or muted. And a lot of it is it's because I don't agree with his take on it. And everything he said here, I've heard before a million times. And I don't buy into that particular argument or narrative or whatever. This is just one of those subjects where, his delivery on some things was funny. I personally felt like some of the other stuff I saw was much funnier than this. This is supposed to be his a masterpiece, and one of his best sort of bits or whatever. But I guess maybe if you agree with him, it would be pretty funny, because he's saying stuff that you personally find, you agree with it. So what he says is funny to you. If you don't agree with it, it's not going to be quite as funny to you, because you're like, well, I don't know, there's this and this and this I could argue with you about. It's a comedy routine bit. It's a comedy bit. You're not supposed to take it seriously, but as I've mentioned in my other videos where other serious subject matter has come up, it's serious subjects are often covered, by comedy. I mean, comedy often deals with these sorts of subjects. And I don't know, some of these things, it's just not something that I can necessarily just, oh, ha, 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 that's it, that's funny. And there's nothing to think about it or nothing to say about it. These things make you think, right? I mean, whether I agree with him or not, it's something that made me think about this issue and, kind of analyze it and whatever. But so anyway, there's that. I feel like as soon as I stop recording, there's going to be all these different things that I'm going to think of to say. But at the same time, I feel like this is treading into territory that's getting pretty serious. And I'm sure that there's going to be several people that are going to quite disagree with my take on this, just like I disagree with his take on the subject as well. I don't, as far as, him being a foreigner, I mean, he's got that opinion. A lot of people from other countries, they look at the way the U.S. does things, especially things like, the Second Amendment, the Bill of Rights, and stuff like that. And they don't quite understand it because their culture is a bit different as far as the way they look at things like that. But, I mean, that part of what he was saying, that don't particularly, it doesn't particularly bother me that he's a foreigner and he's saying these things. There are plenty of foreigners that actually very much agree with things like our Constitution and our Bill of Rights and the Second Amendment and things like that, so it's just, everybody has their different viewpoints about stuff like that. So, but yeah, this is one of those hot button topics. That's one of the reasons why I kind of put off watching this, because I was like, I don't know, am I going to find it hilarious? I didn't find it as hilarious as his other stuff. I've seen so far 2 of his other things. The first one was the airplane etiquette, and the second one was when he took his friend to see a prostitute, his friend that was suffering from MD. Those were pretty funny. I do look forward to checking out more of his stuff, because while I disagree with much of what he said here, his delivery is funny to me, like the facial expressions that he has, the way he acts out things, and his accent, and just, I don't know, he's funny to me. So while I disagree with what he says, it's not anything that's turned me off to watching anything else of his. And I do have other stuff of his written down to watch. I can't remember off the top of my head, but they are. So I will get around to them at some point. But I had mentioned that I would try to watch this particular, these videos this week. So that's what I've done. I'm going to try to get this edited and up by tomorrow, which is, what's the day? Wednesday. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yeah, I'll try to get this up by tomorrow. So I better go ahead and shut up now so I can get to work on editing. Okay, you guys, later.